And you see, we are the last party to be officiated on. And there is a reason for that. Because unlike, we acquired an existing party. And it should have taken a short time for us to get to this place. But the Electoral Commission danced and danced and danced and danced and gave everybody else certification except need. There is a reason why. But we finally got it, and we are here. And we are the last. But you see, the Bible says, those who are last will be what? And those who are first will be what? So that's why we are here today. We are going to be first, and I can assure you that. And now I want to tell you that we are preparing Uganda for the inevitability of the end of the Museveni dynasty. Because I have the one thing I've encountered as I moved across the country, so many people behave as if Museveni is going to rule for the next 100 years. He is not. He's not going past next year. And now you can take that to the bank. Okay? Now the question is, who is going to replace him and what kind of leadership are we going to usher into this country? It's definitely not going to be his son. That one is deluded. Okay? This is not a kingdom. And we are not going to allow the Museveni dynasty to continue. But you see, Ugandans don't understand what our privileges, our strengths are right now. Because there are weaknesses and there are strengths of we who are fighting the current government. The weakness is that the man has all security organs behind him. He has all Bank of Uganda money. If he doesn't have enough, he'll just put EPS and charge people money so that he goes and uses it for campaign. Or they'll just go and steal it from Bank of Uganda, which is what they do. So those are their strengths. But their weaknesses is that they really do not have support. I was seeing that old man going across the city. Previously, he used to use force and send all these military whatever. But now he's going to markets bribing people that please don't demonstrate. Please don't bring, confusion in the city. Now, that's not somebody who is strong. But you see, Ugandans have been so fed with the picture of a strong, even a lion gets old and is eaten by hyenas. Okay? So now that picture you have of a strong Museveni, get it out of your mind. He is going. The dynasty of Museveni is coming to an end. Okay? And now we are going to undo. There is one of his bush war people who said that it's going to take us 30 years to undo the damage that Museveni has done to this country. I'm telling you, Kabuleta is going to take 3 years to undo the damage that he has done. And I'm going to give you a brief on how I'm going to do that. First of all, the one thing that man did, and he did it so well, is to make sure make all people poor, so that when he comes for your votes, he just uses money. And he has done that. He destroyed the fabric of rural wealth completely and made sure poor people, village people, remain peasants. They used not to be peasants before he came. Okay? So all the fabric of rural wealth was removed. But that is so easy to restore. Because I'm telling you this, some of you people who are so young and maybe didn't see this. There was a time, before these Bushmen took power, there was a time when almost all the garments that we wore in our country were produced in Uganda from Ugandan coffee. Do you remember that? Yes. Now, the same man comes and starts telling us value addition as if that is a novel idea which he came up with. He's the one who destroyed value addition. There was people planting cotton across the country. There was Lila Spinning Mill. There was Nightil. There was Uganda Garment Industries Limited, where all our uniforms and bed sheets and what used to come from. Do you remember that? Yes. So now, it is so easy to get back all these things in place if we end the dynasty of Museveni. And now when I say our thing is money in the pocket, it is not just a slogan. It is something I believe in. Because until we have people-centered development, until our development is not just in papers, reading budget speeches and telling us that Uganda is growing at what, yet everybody is becoming poorer. Until that wealth of the country starts reflecting in people's pockets, we shall not have achieved our aim as need. That has to happen in a matter of 3 years after Kabuleta becomes president. That wealth has to reflect in people's pockets. And that's why I say money in your pocket, because somebody who doesn't have money in the pocket has no dignity. You are vulnerable. Anything can happen to you. They will give you a bar of soap and you cast your vote. in a certain way. Now that has to end because we are talking about national economic empowerment, where we are empowering people to go and make their own wealth. Okay? Forget about what you've been told, wealth creation, by the man who is responsible for spreading all the poverty. I'm talking about really empowering people to make wealth. And that ability is there. And in all your regions, I can tell you this, all your regions, from where you come, I have been there. I have studied the history of how people used to make money in those regions. And I know exactly how, when I become president, I am going to just switch on a flip and get people back to where, you know, they are actually earning money. All the regions, I know exactly. Now, I want you to imagine this. The other day, not too long ago, I met somebody whom I've known for some years. I met him so many years ago when I was a journalist, a sports journalist. And he came to me and told me that he wants to establish sports betting in Uganda. It wasn't there at the time. We didn't know sports betting. It was across, you know. I have my issues with betting, but I listened to him. And the man came from abroad, came and established the first betting house here. He went through the process of starting it, all the media, setting the systems in place, creating systems where people can go and bet and go and get paid and all that. So he did all the donkey work. Now, when he would have started reaping the efforts, reaping from his efforts, something happened. And this is typical, and I'm telling you this story because it has happened thousands of times across this country. First of all, URI came and gave him a bill of taxation, which was in the billions, which was totally unjustified. And they said, this is our assessment of your tax arrears. So pay them, or we are closing you down. So he said, what is the basis of your assessment of taxes? They didn't have any. They just said, pay this, or we are closing you down. So eventually, after he was struggling, of course, he didn't have that kind of money. So eventually what he did, as he was waiting, trying to haggle with URA and trying to negotiate with them, then somebody comes, a big man, what they call in Uganda here, Munene, comes and says, you know that URA bill can go away if you give me shares in your business. And so he had no option. He did not have the money. So he said, okay, we'll give you shares in the business. And he thought that was the end of the story. That was just the beginning of the story. So they came inside his business and they said, now that we are shareholders, we want to come and see how this business runs so that we are not cheated. So they studied everything about his business from start to finish. And when they had understood how his business runs, they just pushed him out without any, you know the way you push a child out of, the room like this. They pushed him out of the business and they took it over. And the people who took it over, you know them. There is that man there, the Kapeka man who wants to own everything in this country. Very lousy people. That because they fought for 5 years. So they have to be in control of everything. You see, now they took over his business. Now I met him the other day. And honestly, he didn't look so good. And I said, here is somebody who innovated, who put in a lot of hard work. And when he should have been harvesting, somebody came and took all the harvest. Now, that is typical of so many businesses. That's why when I was campaigning, I said financial liberation. Imagine a scenario where people can start business and they reap the benefits of their innovation, of their hard work. Now that man should be somewhere in a mansion enjoying himself, but he's not. The business became big, but they pushed him out because they have power and he doesn't. And imagine if all other people who have been pushed out of business. When I say this, businessmen who have been in this country, who have tried to start businesses, they know it. They know what I'm talking about. And they know they will just wait for you to do all the innovation, all the groundwork, and then they just come and take it away. Because they have power, because they fought 5 years. Okay? Now, I was sometime in Kenya, where there was this gentleman who has been there for so many years. And he's made money. He has quite an amount of money, by the way. He's a very successful businessman. So he was looking to diversify his business out of Kenya. So he was talking about going to Zambia, going to Zimbabwe, and so on. He's a Ugandan. So somebody suggested to him, how about Uganda? He said, I can't put my capital in Uganda. The amount of money I intend to invest, as soon as you start investing, they will start telling you, you need a godfather in State House. They are very lousy, stupid people, whose the only thing they sell is access to the president. And they feel entitled to take over every business. We are talking financial liberation. We are talking economic empowerment. We are talking giving people their due. And this is why we are here. Okay? Imagine a scenario where farmers would be told what to plant because the government has a market for it. That's what happens elsewhere. That's what happens everywhere. Actually, leaders, presidents, go to negotiate for their businesses. Some time ago, I was seeing, for instance, the president of France going to China. And they enter into business. They are talking business. China wants to sell this to France. And then he leaves, the president leaves and says, Chinese airlines says they are going to buy this number of Airbus aeroplanes. Airbus is made in France. So the president is actually a broker for top businesses, not a king who closes all the city because he's going to bribe people to vote for him. No. We have to return to servant leadership. We have to get to a point where we can tell farmers, we have a market for this good, therefore go and plant it, and we shall get you the market. You think people will remain poor? Why are we importing? Let me tell you something. If in 1988, Uganda had a positive balance of trade, that means we exported more goods than we imported. 1988. That is before these Bushmen began their poverty revolution. The first year where we had a negative balance of trade was 1989. It was at about $30 million negative. Now it is billions of dollars in the negative. We are just importing everything. We consume, we have become a consumer market, we produce nothing. We have the ability to produce with good governance. Do not underestimate the power of good governance. Do not underestimate it. And imagine a scenario where farmers can stay on their land and make it productive. And actually they become rich off their land. Do you know what country did that? Tanzania. When they did that, they were importing a lot of food from Uganda. Now, they export. We import a lot of rice from Tanzania. We import even groundnuts. How can Uganda import groundnuts? I mean, how stupid can we be? We import millet. Now, that is what bad leadership can do. So don't play with bad leadership. That is money which goes out, which should be staying here. How can rice? You know, when we talk about, oh, we have fertile land, we have 2 seasons, rice. I looked sometime at the amount of garlic we import from China, and I was ashamed. Garlic can grow anywhere in Uganda. Even if you just dug there and threw it there, you'll get good garlic. But we are importing it from China.